On this week's episode of Friend Code, we got a new Indie World Showcase for August 2020. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Friend Code. I'm your host, Michael Damiani. This week, I'm joined by Ian Hank.
Hi.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
How's it going, you two? We were,
It's over 100. That's
it's hot.
Yeah.
Parts of the
it's going,
state,
warm.
it's going up.
parts of the state are dealing with blackouts, and just the usual at this time of year for the state of California. What is a little unusual, but happy news was we got a little bit of a return to normalcy today in terms of Nintendo updates. We got a proper Indie World Showcase that usually happen around this time of year because this is usually when PAX West happens. They're doing a digital version of PAX West, but they've always done an Indie World or an Indies back in the day around this. We got one bright and early this morning, our time, 9 a.m. So the three of us were up bright and early to
Not as
react
early
to this.
as some other things, thankfully.
True. Nintendo has, and other things have done things way earlier. What was it, like 7 a.m., I think, is like the earliest. We have...
Nintendo done some 6 a.m.
6 a.m.?
Something was at 6. Yeah, I remember something.
Jeez,
Some of them
6
Pokemons.
a.m. Oh, yeah, the Pokemon stuff seems like always the earliest. And I will say it was nice. And I want to start there, actually. I want to start there and talk about how did you like this Indie World Showcase? And did you kind of get the same feeling as me? That was like it was a return back to normal style for Nintendo after months of just either nothing or just weird style presentations.
Damiani, I loved it. 6 shadow drops. 6.
The Shadow
Count
Drop
'em.
King has emerged.
Not counting demos. Full titles. Fantastic. But yeah, I mean, waking up early, I didn't even know if I was going to tune in this morning, but then I woke up sneezing because I accidentally fell asleep with my air conditioner on, and then I was like, well, I'm up, might as well be up, and I'm glad I tuned in because it was a lot of fun. My expectations were really low, and it delivered, I think. And I like the Indie World Showcases because it like I always say, it sets your expectations appropriately. Because it's just going to be a bunch of indie games. You're not going to see any big crazy things like Breath of the Wild or whatever. We were joking that Destiny 2 might drop on Switch because they're technically indie, But no, yeah. So expectations were low and they were exceeded for sure.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job of bringing a variety of content where everything actually feels like it's pretty good quality. There are a couple of things in there that are like, I don't know about that, but not really that much. Like most of the games look interesting, look like they're being well made, look like somebody had really done their homework to see, is this worth, putting in a direct, or, and also even I think the curation between the main, the quote unquote main games, and then the stuff that was in the montage, whereas some of the things that were in the montage, okay, yeah, we've seen that game 8 times. We don't need to see it, in depth right now. Just show it's on Switch. Got it. Cool. Move on to the next one. Also, I was doing the timestamps for our reactions, and some of these trailers, including title cards and stuff, clocked in under a minute. So they really did
Outside the montage?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they really did, make sure to be to the point, to tell you what you need to know, and not just go on and on and on about some of these things.
A good clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like as you mentioned, Ian, it sets expectations, but also the New World Showcase, the formula, you know what you're getting. It's always usually a trailer reveal, short trailer, and then you get potentially a developer or just one of the Nintendo staff narrating over actual gameplay just for a little bit. And then you get that title card at the end that has all the information you need, when's it coming out, and who's making it. And just, I think it's a really good format. And I kind of like seeing this because, as I mentioned earlier, they did a Treehouse Live for Paper Mario a while back. They've been announcing a lot of things just on Twitter straight up. with shadow drops of videos. The Pokemon Company did do some stuff. We kind of already went through that, and maybe the setting expectations lesson wasn't quite learned at that point. We did get a Sakurai presentation for Min Min in joining Smash Brothers, which is shot all from Sakurai's house, which was really good. But I also think just this being exactly as we remember, because the last one was in March. The March Indie World Showcase, I think, was the last
the
traditional
the
video
GDC,
we
quote unquote
got,
one,
right? Yeah. And you're starting to see other companies, like the most recent State of Play, very traditional style. You're seeing some companies figure out how to work in the pandemic, and how to start putting things together that have some semblance of what it looked like before. And for me, again, that was the nicest thing to see, was that this made me feel good. I was happy, and as you said, I really liked most of what was shown today, and think it was a really good showing overall for them. And going on that note, what they showed, I kind of want to ask both of you, well, what was the game or maybe games that stood out the most for you? Like, what were your highlights that made you piqued your interest?
For me, it was definitely Spiritfarer. I even downloaded it, and I've been playing it I've gotten maybe an hour and a half in before we shooting right now, and it's really fun so far. It's really cute, and so far hasn't made me sad.
That was your concern. You were saying you just expected at some point that game is going to make you cry. Given its nature, I still feel like it's got a good chance of doing that.
Yeah, I saw a quote saying it was more about life than it is about death, something like that.
Yeah, and it's
so
kind of, well, what's nice about it is, like, you're all already, it's not called this, but you're all basically chilling on the River Styx, except it's like an ocean, and it's got towns and islands and people living there and houses, and your boat is, it's got, obviously it's a management game, which from first trailers I didn't realize fully. But like, I'm planting props, I'm grilling fish, I'm catching fish, I'm meeting other animal friends and stuff, and I'm chopping down trees and things like that. But it's got so far good sense of progression, and it's moving along at a good pace. So, and it's just gorgeous. Like, even on Switch, it's running pretty well so far, I think. And just the animations are really, really cool. It's a new game.
I want to say that they previously released their past titles on Switch, so they probably have used that opportunity to really learn the ins and outs and what they can expect out of it.
Yeah, because they did Jotun, and what was the other one?
I keep forgetting the name. They reminded me earlier. Sundered.
Sundered. Yeah.
Sundered. That's right. Yeah. So they've got this real cool, like, animated looking drawn style that I like. Yeah, but it's cool. It's a good game.
This was this was one of the shadow drops, actually.
Yeah,
this was
first.
This was the first shadow drop, correct?
And I missed part of the next game because I immediately went to my fantasy critic team and bid on it. I'm running out of money though, so if either of those guys get to it before I do, I'm
curious whether Don is just checked out during his leave, or if he's using that extra time to, like, all right, I've got to build my strategy. I've got to come back in the second half.
Bloodworth, he has yet to bid on a single game, so hard to say what his strategy is.
He's still probably got a master plan. He's still thinking about it in the back of his head. Spiritfarer, one of the highlights for me as well. It's $29.99. So I think of the games shown today that actually are available right now, it was the most expensive on there. So around $30.
But I hear reports it's also available through Game Pass. I haven't checked let me check if it's on PC as well, but
it is on Stadia. I got the Stadia update.
Next week or right now?
Spiritfarer.
Let's see. It says
Xbox Game Pass. And Xbox Game Pass for PC.
Yep, I could download it right now. I already bought it on Switch.
and grabbing it
So-
again a second time.
Yeah, I've been hoisted by my own petard.
What about you, Blood? Was there a game that stood out for you from the presentation?
The one that stood out the most to me, mostly just because it's very different art style, is Takeshi and Hiroshi. Going back and forth between that kind of stop motion aesthetic, which is the the quote unquote real world, and then this idea that somebody is making a video game for their younger brother, and and you're sort of like deciding like how difficult is it going to be, how much you're going to challenge him versus how much you're going to let him win. There is like maybe a hint in there that there's like some tragedy going on, but with the younger brother as well, so hopefully it's not like Ian said, like hopefully it's not too sad.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting concept for sure, particularly when you think about the different contexts that you could do like a dungeon maker type of game. Usually it's just like, oh, you're going to be the villain and you're going to fill up your dungeon with monsters or whatever, and it's just a very different setup, different motivations. And then the other one that surprisingly stood out to me is Card Shark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's so much going on with that game's presentation, and and the story and the things surrounding the cards, that it actually makes a card game interesting again, right? It's like you see so many games with card mechanics or that are card based, and you're like, okay, here's another one of these. But this idea of like, no, you need to find a way to cheat. You're going to cheat your way through these card games. Got to avoid suspicion. Got to avoid getting shot in the face. Yeah.
I love the little bullet points they have on the official Nintendo.com page for the game. They give you a little bit more insight. The headline's "Cheat or Die," and here are the bullet points. So real card manipulation techniques and mini games with roguelike progression.
Oh.
Interesting.
Unlock new
so
locations.
Your opponents probably change it up.
Yeah, unlock new locations when techniques are mastered, and manage your winnings to buy your way into high stakes games. So,
Dude.
This
Okay.
is yeah. It is definitely one of the more unique looking games. Definitely, even if you're like not a fan of cards, I feel the mini game aspect of it made it more about, you don't really need to know which one you hand. It's going to tell you, hey, try and do this to cheat. So I kind of like that. So maybe you don't have to fully know the rules of, poker or whatever card game they're going to be playing. And then they said, what is this thing here? A tale of deception throughout 18th century Europe, or the comprehensive catalog of card tricks and other deceptions employed by the Comte de Saint-Germain, as described in Memoirs sans Parole. And I'm sorry if I butchered that.
So it sounds like it's
French.
based on an existing fictional character.
Yeah, this is
They made him up, or is it totally?
Well, I can yeah, this might be fake. I can Google this real quick. No,
When it's
real.
made by the
A French was a European adventurer with an interest in science, alchemy, and the arts. He achieved prominence in European high society in the mid 1700s. His real name is unknown, while his birth and background are obscure. But towards the end of his life, he claimed he was a son of Prince of Transylvania. Yeah,
Prince of Transylvania.
The Prince.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
There's music. I don't know if there's
Just
anything about
some
cards in
troll.
here. Cards. Yeah, there's nothing about cards, I think, or poker or gambling.
He
Nope.
probably dabbled,
Yeah, it's probably like in his secret memoirs that have yet to been uncovered right now. But yeah, that is that's real.
It's made by the people who made Reigns.
Yeah.
And I beat Reigns
Muriel?
and Reigns, Her Majesty.
I think
those
that's
are
how you
both
pronounce it.
pretty-
Nerial, Nerial,
Yeah.
or Nerial, and being
Haven't
published by
played that one.
Devolver Digital. Devolver scooping up all these.
Well, they also did Reigns. That was one of the funny things about their email, was it was like Nariel parentheses
Nariel.
reigns and Devolver Digital also reigns.
Eh,
Pretty good. Yeah, I just like the
Those guys
panel
send out
effect
funny
they
press
do.
releases.
The panel they
they
do at
would
one
have
point,
to.
it was really cool. Like you're looking at your cards, but then like someone on the other panel is like pouring wine into your glass. It's like one setting the atmosphere, but also wonder if you can use distractions, misdirection. You get
Oh,
to
yeah.
pick.
Oh,
Like
I'm
I
sure.
hope you get to like set up part of like the height or the act, I guess, to see how it goes. But yeah, then like the shootout things at the end. I wonder if those are just like it just happens if you reach a boiling point, or you have some chance to like fire first or defend yourself. Maybe having an escape plan is part of the strategy as well. But man, this game, yeah, it does look gorgeous. This is a really great art style. So
Yeah, I feel like even if you can somehow survive, like if you got made, then like there's gonna be a consequence. I don't know if you lose like whatever money you've already got on the table or what.
You get shot.
Well, I mean,
Or
you
if
get
you
caught.
somehow don't,
you get
if you somehow avoid
away.
getting shot, but you get away, but you don't have your
I would
money,
imagine maybe they blacklist you at like certain events are no longer like it says you have to buy your way into
Right.
games. Maybe those games become like X'd out or something. Like you can't go here. You're dead man
But
if you show up
it's
here.
since it's roguelike, my guess is you just die and then try a different minigame.
Probably.
Yeah, potentially.
What if picking your disguises is part of it? I think I'm getting a little too ambitious here, but it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is the kind of like cover art makes it seem like there's gonna be a lot of diverse maybe locations and player types you're gonna go against. So yeah, be careful who you cross in this game would probably be a thing. This is coming. Sorry to go over this. This is coming next year in 2021.
Yeah.
And Takeshi and Horoshi we talked about actually is a shadow drop. It is now available. That's only it's actually originally is $8.99, but it's part of the current eShop indie sale. It's only $8.09. You're saving about $1 on it right now. So
Nice.
that's I was really surprised at the price of Takeshi and Horoshi. Thought those would be at least a $10 game just based on that awesome like claymation puppet animation stuff going on. But
I bet it's not that long then.
Yeah,
it's probably not
short.
that long would be my guess for sure. It's only no, I was gonna say it's 1 gigabyte, but I mean it doesn't really say anything. But yeah, that sorry, I think I'm wrong actually. The Takeshi and Horoshi comes out August 18th. My bad. Oh,
No
that's
Man's
today.
Sky
Oh.
was only like
That's
700
today.
megs.
That's
I'm
today.
tired. Yeah, that's today. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different game that comes out August, later in August, and I got them confused for a second. So that is out. That is a shadow drop. That was the second. I believe that was one of the. Is it the second shadow drop? Yes, it was the second shadow drop.
Yes, that was for sure.
Correct. Anything else before I maybe get into some of the other games here that were part of the presentation?
There were a few. I mean, none of them looked. Maybe only one of them I'm skeptical about.
Oh yeah, was there
Uh,
something? Yeah, you want to maybe see more? We weren't fully convinced that you felt good
one-
about it.
Oh, what is it called?
Evergate at the end. That was
Yeah,
it's kind of
where you
the-
kinda jump around, hover in the air, and
Ori meets
point out
Celeste.
your. Yeah,
yeah.
need to
So-
see how it feels to play before I can really. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it might
Yeah.
play totally fine and be a good game. It just didn't feel like the way the level design was set up really fit the art style very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it that could be a thing that like works in context too, because Celeste was pretty crazy with how they put those things together and like told a story through the environment. So
I think it's the most important thing is how it feels when you play it, especially when it comes to platformer like this. It absolutely makes or breaks the game, at least for me. And as you mentioned, like Celeste and talking about it looks a little bit like Ori in some places. Those two games, they have their very unique and gorgeous art styles, but at the same time, I would not have no, I was gonna say suffered through. That's the wrong word, but I would not have played them to completion most likely if were mechanically unsound. And there's nothing in here that suggests any of that, but that's what I'm most curious about with it. We had a little bit of a talk during our post-reaction discussion regarding the platforms in this game, floating platforms, and how that might be one of the visual things that's maybe off-putting to some people, because I saw some mentions of there's just something off about it in general visually. It just makes it look, kind of like a mobile game, or saw some, like, I was the one who said flash game, but like mobile game, and it's a lot of like flat surfaces, no curves, like square edges, and just like floating. It looks like there's no rhyme or reason at points other than to serve a puzzle for how
Right.
you progress. And I wonder if that is going to affect how people perceive the visual style of the game, because it just doesn't, while it serves the gameplay and design well, it does not help with the immersion factor, or just like it doesn't gel well aesthetically. So I'm kind of curious to see more of that. It was one of the last shadow drop of the day. It's available right now. It's normally $19.99, so just under $20. It's on sale right now for $16.99 as part of the eShop indie sale. Yeah, there's some other things I think you maybe caught during when we were talking about it. Some of the mechanics. You can slow down time so that you can like take aim and hit stuff. Like there's like some kind of like ranged ability. It's called the Soul Flame mechanic. Hit multiple crystals at once and experiment with how their energies combine. So there's that could be potentially some interesting thing about that. It's about like you're going across memories of people who like that have been left behind. I don't know if they necessarily mean they're dead, but it says move across time and space to uncover Key's mysterious connection to another soul. So you saw like there was humanoid characters at one point that were like popping into the level. Yeah, they talk about like the soundtrack and the art style. It says beautifully hand drawn illustrations. I'm like, okay, they're hand drawn, so yeah.
But they're not beautiful? Is that what you're implying, Damian?
I mean, that was the sentiment some people are giving. We didn't really get to hear any of the soundtrack, but they say it's recorded by a live orchestra. So I'm kind of curious to get a sampling of that as well. To say some like intriguing, maybe nice things about it. And they call it a 2D platform puzzler, navigating the afterlife. Yeah, I mean, I thought I'd probably give it a try.
Going on here.
Yeah, I'd give it a try. Maybe it's, I don't know. For some reason, like the price isn't like an insta buy for me. For some reason, maybe that's a little bit harsh, but it's not like it doesn't grab me immediately like Ori did, where Ori's like, I'm gotta play this. Like what I saw, perfect. That was the one that maybe like of the ones we talked about. I just already like this one that stood out the most to me. Maybe not like as the best, but it was very distinct. Other than the ones we talked about before, I think everything you two talked about already covered what I would have said. So Evergate also would have been one of mine as well, for sure. I was gonna ask. Now you already you answered part of this, Ian. You spent some time, a few hours playing Spiritfarer. Of any of these games besides Spiritfarer, have you had any hands-on time with any of these other games, or tried out any of the demos, or put any time into them? I obviously have not had a time to put any. I haven't picked up any of these yet, and I haven't played any of these in the past. But I wasn't sure. Maybe you've seen these games before at an event. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, there's definitely a mix of things that we've seen before in one way or another, or been at an event. Manifold Garden has been on PC.
Yeah, I've played that
about a year. I haven't played the final version of it, but I did, play it back in the day in 2016. Obviously, Torchlight 3 is an early access. Hades is an early access. Short Hike is on PC. Raji, I think, had a demo during the summer Steam Game Fest promotion thing. And then, Subnautica, I think it's been out there for a bit too. But there's a nice back and forth between stuff like that like I've known about, and then stuff no idea, like Bear and Breakfast. Like, okay.
Oh, yeah, that looks cool.
Yeah, Bear and Breakfast. This is so here's the thing. I understand this game looks like it'll be a joy for anyone who plays it. Obviously, our own Michael Huber and their obsession with bears. This is obviously Huber bait. I'm kind of curious. I feel like I'm not sold on this game. I was caught up in like, oh, it looks nice and appealing to maybe some other people, but the actual what you do in the game wasn't really speaking to me. So it was a feel good moment for me, but not convincing me to partake moment. I'm wondering if maybe am I the one who
I can
felt
see
this
that.
way?
Like, it's a little unclear, like what the pure focus, like how much decorating versus how much like exploring the wilderness is there. Like,
Yeah.
and I could see the art style not being everyone's cup of tea. It definitely seems like it's a game where the humor, like if the jokes land, it'll make it way more successful, you know? But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really feeling like what I was wondering is if there might be like some kind of back and forth, like a day night
Mm-hmm.
kind of a thing, because it does seem like you're in the woods at night, and then all the shots where you were kind of managing the building were on the day. But yeah, I'm curious how it's gonna play out, because it wasn't until I really started like looking into the details and I was like, oh, okay, so this is not just about, it's not like spending your whole day just like rearranging this building and trying to please customers. Like, you've got other things going on. It kind of makes me think of Little Dragons Cafe. Remember I reviewed that
Oh yeah, you
last
reviewed that
year or
game.
something like that? Yeah.
Seemed like a
Which
long game.
that was a super long game. Yeah. That was too long. That was one of the game's problems for sure. But it similarly sort of had this thing where you're managing the cafe, but at the same time you had to go out to find ingredients and improve recipes and all of that. So I'm wondering if similarly, if there's some element to where as you discover things in the woods, then it makes the management easier, and then you go back and forth in the way that how they'll end up playing off of each other. How making your cafe better or your bed and breakfast better will enable you to explore further and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, for any of our viewers or listeners who haven't been able to look up this game, just a little bit more detail from the Nintendo page. Basically, you are Bear Hank and your friends. You find an abandoned shack.
Bear Hank,
and
oh Hank.
Hank.
Yeah.
Equipped with their teenage ingenuity, turn it into a money-making bed and breakfast scheme for unsuspecting tourists. So it says you can customize your inn with dozens of guest rooms, bathrooms, parlors, and entertainment. Each room can be individually customized, completely from furniture to fixtures. You bring guests into the forest, stay your inn, keep guests happy to maintain your reputation, earn tips, and attract new customers. Complete objectives and storylines to collect new additions and perks for your inn. I'm going to assume some of that ties into. I don't think there's going to be a day-night cycle so much. It doesn't really explicitly say here, but I think some of the quests might take you into like nighttime, as we saw, because they uncover a world rich in lore, side quest characters, and secrets. And that line you said during the reactions, Bloodworth finds himself uncovering a plot deeper than the wilderness itself. I was like, okay.
How do the words scheme and unsuspecting or unwitting fit into that? Like, it sounds like you're just running a B&B.
And like there's something more nefarious going on with the location. I think it might be something. Yeah, that's the big reveal.
A hat and shirt at one point.
I wonder if the forest maybe changes you into an animal or something like that. Maybe that's the hook. Kind of was getting that vibe from what I was seeing. Thought there was some evidence of that, but maybe I'm wrong. This is from Gummy Cat Studios developing it, being published by Armor Games Studios. Sorry, is coming out next year and will be a timed console exclusive for the Nintendo Switch.
Players to be determined.
Yeah, to be determined.
Meaning it might be one player or might be four.
Yeah, might be a group stream candidate next year potentially.
Weird.
Yeah. So there were definitely a few other games that were mentioned during the Indie World Showcase that we haven't really covered yet. They started off with Hades from Supergiant Games. You mentioned already it's in early access. They gave it a date. It's coming out fall 2020. It is it's from the makers of Bastion, Pyre, and Transistor, and they're claiming they're combining all the best elements of those three games into one, and that you are basically battling your way out of hell. Each playthrough will be unique and different as you fight your way through the underworld. And they, what was the last thing? Yeah, you have like other characters that you meet that help you out. So like Zeus, Athena, Poseidon, like different Greek characters are going to come to you to aid you in your quest. The one thing I will say is we had this discussion on the stream, but we can have it again here for sure. Just because it's a roguelike, it is a roguelike dungeon crawler. And Ian was asking why. He's like, you like FTL, Damiani? Well, why would you not like something like this? And so there's a key part of this, Ian. Roguelike, and then the next qualifier, dungeon crawler. That is not my forte. I'm not really into dungeon crawlers. So that part of the game maybe doesn't speak so much to me.
It's funny to me because you love playing like 14 and stuff, and it's all about optimization of a build and things like that.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to really get into it. Honestly, I do think the thing is 14 is a known quantity. It does not. With one exception, it does not offer you the roguelike component. It does have dungeons in it. It just provides so many other activities. It's just a diverse range of activities that if you're jumping into Hades, all you're getting is this. You're getting a roguelike dungeon crawler, and that is all you're going to get. So if you want a moment of reprieve, it's stop playing, go play another game. Whereas in something like 14, I could stay in that world and go do something else, and there's so many different ways. Yeah, two different realms there, honestly. But I'm not completely opposed to dungeon crawlers. I've definitely played the earlier Pokemon mystery dungeon games. I've tried out one of the Shiren the Wanderer games, like one that came to Wii back in the day. And they have they have some limited appeal. I think what's most off-putting about this to me is its perspective. I'm not the biggest fan of isometric viewpoints and it being so zoomed out. It looks visually, the art style looks really good. I just don't personally get drawn to this type of perspective.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I kind of feel you a little bit on that because I need to do a little bit of catch up on Supergiant because I played Bastion, but I really haven't played the other games. I know Pyre had like this whole crazy sports angle going on too. It's funny because it's one of those developers where I really appreciate their work and their craftsmanship. I just don't know that I enjoy playing the games as much as I, like let me just put that soundtrack on repeat for a weekend and just absorb that rather than going through like you're saying, like mechanics that maybe don't speak to me as much.
Very true.
I'm in the same boat, kind of like I've always like really appreciated the way they look. Like there's that part in Transistor when you're in like a dream or whatever, and you can look out at the sunset, and it's just that cool like grid thing. It's just gorgeous looking, but like there's always just something about them that I'm like, yeah, okay. Like I played Pyre and I got just kind of tired of it after a while, and like Transistor, like the way the sword, I don't know, it felt like weirdly like condescending or something. The sword's tone of voice, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. The way the sword talked and how she couldn't talk, everything about it just felt kind of weird narratively. I don't know, like whatever, but like it was a cool game.
Narrator in Bastion, that's always the thing.
I mean, that was fun.
Most.
I know I know it's divisive, but I like that actually.
I like the narrator in Bastion. This is really funny, but like in college we would make music in GarageBand a lot, and so my ear just immediately catches on to those loops, and some of them were in the Bastion soundtrack, and I couldn't hear anything but them. So it's, I mean, they're free to use, you know, there's nothing wrong with using them. Sampling is great, but like, yeah, my ear perked up every time I heard them, you know.
Correct me if I'm
Stupid
wrong.
reasons.
This game, I'm trying to look through the details to confirm, but I thought the trailer made it clear that when you die, you like start again, like you come back, but you like,
Yeah,
you bring along stuff that there's some like either
there's
information
some
or
form of
experience or something.
progression.
I'm not. So that's the other thing I wanted to say. Sorry, that's not my style. What was the game? There's so many games that do this, but it
You
started
don't like
with
Legacy, Damiani?
no, Zombie U. Remember that came out? Like you
Oh,
you
sure.
die, go pick up your. I don't like that style of progression. It's not that. Never really drew me in.
I like that more than straight roguelike where you just lose everything.
So I with FTL, because I prefer shorter. Then FTL is not that terribly long, so I would prefer something that's shorter where it is permadeath. You're done. RNG has screwed you over, or your choices did not, you know, kind of shield you a little bit more from like potentially crappy RNG, and you learn through that. I'm fine with that. Just when you make a game that's super long and that's it. You know, anything over like say like 4-ish 5 hours is like that's ridiculous. Even that's kind of pushing it for me. Like a PlayStation FTL is like about 2-ish hours now for me if I'm going to completion. So that's fine. If I perma died during that, hey, I still had a good time. But something, if I had to like keep, the only way to win an FTL is like your ship has to blow up, another ship comes and takes your place. I'm like, but it picks up some of your resources and progresses. I'd be like, I don't know. That's just not. I'm not a fan of that.
To
honestly.
me, at least, you get a sense of progression and growth over time. I mean, I think it works in some games and it doesn't in others. Like Rogue Legacy, I think, is a really cool way of doing it, where you feel. I mean, maybe the game is a little unfair out the gate because it's so difficult before you upgrade. But like, yeah, I don't know. I enjoy a little bit of progression, but it would feel weird in FTL certainly.
What was
Yeah.
the 2D pixel arts roguelike side scrolling like heavy combat? I think Huber reviewed
Dead Cells.
Dead Cells, isn't that also like that as
Darkest
well?
Dungeon. Oh yeah, Dead Cells.
Dead
Dead
Cells,
Cells,
isn't
yeah,
that
you have a
also-
little, you unlock some stuff, yeah. Darkest Dungeon is similar as well, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely something that a lot of people find enjoyable and rewarding. So just because it doesn't speak to me, you know, it does. I understand the merits of it, and I understand the appeal. So not trying to downplay that at all. Just something like this. Just that's why it probably doesn't speak to me as well. But yeah, Hades coming fall 2020 from Super Giant Games. Next up, they had Hypnospace Outlaw. This was coming on August 27th. This is a go back in time 90s web browser game that looked, as Blood Ella very astutely pointed out, looks too good for a 90s website. A lot of these things. I love this description. Greetings, Enforcer, and thank you for enlisting in the Hypnospace Patrol Department. As the world falls into slumber, Hypnospace becomes a bustling global village. It's an 90s internet simulator in which you scour Hypnospace's wide variety of weird and wonderful websites to hunt down wrongdoers while also keeping an eye on your inbox, avoiding viruses and adware, and downloading a plethora of apps that may not be useful. I kind of like how they're saying apps because that was really a term in the 90s. A lot of people were using.
Definitely
I don't know if it existed yet, but I love this. Crawl through cyberspace. Dangers and delights. Download groovy GIFs and MIDI files, but watch out for adware, toolbars, and hackers. Toolbars, those annoying toolbars that is being installed. I love that. I absolutely love that. They have cryptocurrency, I guess, when you do your job correctly, that you can spend. Equip obnoxious screensavers and skins for your desktop. Wiggle your mouse pointer around and make pages load faster. This seems like a great game to sample. Sorry.
Yeah, it apparently came out in March of 2019 on Steam, but it has
Hmm.
overwhelmingly positive reviews on there.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the screenshots they have on here. It's like this is one. It's just totally like a GeoCities type of thing. It's like
Yeah.
Zane rocks.
Zane
This
rocks.
is
Yeah.
Zane. My
I'm
name on
looking at
here
that
is
right
Zane
now.
rocks 14, but now I'm 15. He's like really compressed photo of him, and then like guns with explosions behind them, and like a skeleton hand.
So good. Yeah, it's man, I have a yearning to maybe not play I don't know, maybe this is a really short experience, so maybe it is the perfect little bite-sized morsel I'm looking for. But not even just beyond game form. I've always, every time I come across like a YouTube documentary about what happened to AOL and something, and I'll just like fall down that rabbit hole for like a few hours. It just makes me yearn for trying out that old style of internet interface again, just to like, I just want to try. Can I just use it one more time? You know, it's gonna be horrible, but there's nostalgia just to like check it out again. And
just like
it's nice to see
confetti
it.
animating in the background, and some random MP3 that's been horribly compressed, just looping every 8 seconds.
Yeah, just getting those old error pages that used to have like comedy things on them, and then those almost don't even exist anymore because no one even like, everything redirects now. If you get an error, or you go to a page, just redirects you back to the home page. Doesn't even tell you there's an error 404 anymore.
Or I used to have we used to have those like splash screens where like there'd be some big elaborate 3D animation before you could even get to the web page.
Yeah. It'd take forever to load.
The early days of Flash, when it was cool and people like, you were like, whoa, that's so advanced. Someone made like this animated thing for the beginning of their web page. Yeah, I mean, it is obviously a nice, this game's going for like that time capsule revisit this era. I kind of like that
there is a demo if you just want to check it out.
Gonna bring up, that's probably what I was gonna do, because it is the game's already out on Steam. When it comes to Switch next week, it will be, normally it will be priced at $19.99, but it's currently on sale for $14.99. But it does have a demo you can get right now if you want to try it out. And I will probably be grabbing that at some point, either today or tomorrow, just to like play in the background for a bit, because that's perfect for me. The demo is just like probably all I'll need, unless it's, I'm not going to dismiss it. Maybe it captivates me and I want to get the whole thing. We'll see. Garden story. We talked about Spiritfarer plenty already. Unless there's anything else you want to add, Ian. No?
It's cool.
Cool. Garden story. Coming in 2021 from Picogram developing it, published by Rose City Games. This is a 2D sprite-based kind of action adventure game where you're trying to rebuild your community. So I saw when we were reacting chat immediately making comparisons to like, it's a 2D Animal Crossing vibe. Maybe I like the character art. So it looks like you're a giant grape, but then like you have this companion who looks like
named Concord.
Named Concord. Because you're the newly appointed Guardian of the Grove. Is your role here as the Guardian. And
cool title.
What are their friends' name? Edelberry, Rana, and Fuji. Elderberry. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. I just want to know who the Caro-looking character is, because that looks. I like this character. I want to play as that character. They look awesome. Yeah, it looked like you got like tasks. Like there's a community board where you got tasks to accept and complete chores or quests to bring people in, improve parts of your, like building a fence. You were fishing at one point. I don't know. What did the two of you think about this? Do you think it looked good to you, or anything stand out about it?
Yeah, it's a cute little town builder. I don't know that it really stands out that much, but it's interesting that there's at least like some combat elements as well, with fighting off these. They call it the rot, which I'm guessing is those little like slime monsters you would see.
Yeah.
In some of the shots.
looked very easy going, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't get any indication that there's some of these types of games go for like there's a time factor, that there is a threat level that if you're not building up your defenses or your town or whatever, it could start falling back into ruin. I didn't get any kind of vibe like that, so it seems like it would be a little bit more laid back, honestly, which is nice. Definitely fits the vibe of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just like nice. It was interesting because there were parts of the shot, maybe they were just zoomed in for the trailer, that looked a little bit more pixely, but when it was zoomed out, it looked very crisp, like almost like flat texture style. So I
Mhm.
wonder how, like, if they're doing the scaling thing where they'll do like dynamic scaling in and out, and it'll have that effect on it. But yeah, again, it's also not something, that's not the type of game. I already put my time into Animal Crossing. I've had my fill for probably a good 2 years at least of that type of game. But maybe for people who find a 3D version of this a little bit more daunting, a 2D version might be a little bit more simplified and might be, might speak to more people, I would potentially. But yeah,
Yeah.
again,
I
coming
feel like
next year.
this. Yeah, this may be a little bit more akin to like a Rune Factory or something. Yeah, it's just because they talk
That's
about
what's
like puzzle solving and like going to dungeons and things, and so there's a little bit more going on there, in repairing buildings and such. So yeah, it's definitely not totally laid back.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good comparison. I forgot all about Rune Factory till he just said it. I'm like, yeah, that's because I was mistakenly going to say like something like Harvest Moon or something like that, but it's like this is more involved in that. And yeah, Rune Factory is the game I was trying to think of. So yeah, perfect. Next up, Subnautica is coming to Switch early next year, along with I guess it's expansion DLC Below Zero.
No, it looks like the full sequel.
I
So
think
it's a
it's a
full sequel.
squeakquel.
Okay, it is a full
Yeah.
sequel. They have 2 different pages for it. So sorry I didn't have that on there. This is a Blood. You seem to be the aquatic guy that he's
Sure.
realized. So, what is your take on this game? A little bit more fantastical, I'd say, than
Oh yeah,
informative and
yeah.
educational.
Like I think like the last, like with Garden Story, like it's not entirely laid back, right? Like you seem to be there because you've crashed, you're trying to rebuild, and I know people have played this and I haven't, so I can't really speak a lot of depth to what the game is like. But yeah, there's more going on there in terms of a reason to explore rather than just like wander around at your leisure.
There's
And then
aliens in them hills.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then obviously Below Zero is a new planet and more icy areas. And I think the big thing that Below Zero is like, well, you're not Subnautica, you're walking around sometimes.
yeah.
I
That one
believe you
shot.
walk around sometimes in the other one too.
Okay.
Okay.
Not often, but sometimes.
Yeah, this because it says like you've crashed the first one. You've crash landed on an alien ocean world, and the only way is go down. But I'm guessing that maybe there's some parts where you come out of the water. I mean, I don't know if it's entirely an ocean planet. I mean, that also terrifies me. So I know
Hey, you're
your
telling
fear
me.
of man-made stuff underwater, Ian. My a thing that unsettles me is the concept of an entirely ocean planet where there's no like land, so it's
You've
all
got
water.
phasalophobia.
And the one that made me realize this more profoundly was when I saw Interstellar, the planet with the waves. It's like there's no land. I was just like, wait, it's just endless water. Like I was like, I mean, I've always known there's like all like liquid based planets,
Mhm.
but seeing it realized in like real like a live action film was just like, this sucks. I was like, I don't want to get off this planet. It sucks. Where's the land? Also, but because it was like what, waist high water that could have like normally, other than the giant freaking waves. Imagine it's like there's no like deep underwater. It's just like waist high water of the world. I was like, that sucks. It's
Until
like
that giant
kiddie pool world.
until that giant wave comes and wipes out everything, because it's just the wave is just like locked to the moon, right? And it just like, yeah.
Oh, it's the black hole, the gargantua,
Oh yeah.
whatever. Its gravity is pulling on yeah, it's causing that because obviously waves are caused by gravity.
Thalassophobia. I was close. I said bassilophobia.
I think I would be fine if like with something like Subnautica. I mean, again, this is what you don't like, Ian, but as long as they're underwater structures, like research labs, stuff like that, I think I'm cool with. I like that. I'm intrigued by that. Mine's just like just like a planet where there's like nothing. It is just like the concept being thrown on an alien world where it's just underwater. But like I'm out. How do I get back on the spaceship and leave? Next planet, please.
To me, like, because I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves, and like I went diving for a Reaper bounty, which is on a shipwreck underwater the other night. And Sophia was like, "You're coming down here? What are you doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're out here sitting ducks, And the cartoony graphics make it a lot better. Like when you're underwater, it basically just looks like a slightly bluer version of regular. It's when it's like partially underwater and coming up and like barnacle-y and that weird nasty green blue. Oh, I can't even handle it.
Yeah.
Ugh. Like an oil rig. Looking out at an oil rig makes me want to like just recede into nothingness.
I hate lake water. Like lake water always is a little unsettling to me. I mean, I'll go in it and stuff, I'll be fine, but I always preferred like ocean, like right by the beach, ocean water where you can actually see into the water sometimes, or it's not that you can tell like has a shallow area. Look
up a video of a giant squid. And that might change your mind.
Yeah, for sure. I really know. But
not many videos of those, but
yeah, there's like the two. We haven't seen them, Damiani.
No. I do like the concept of this though. Like as soon as you land on the planets, it's like there's a ticking clock. You got to find resources to like just nourish yourself and live, and then you can start to construct underwater habitats, which I think that's kind of cool. And then they even talk about like underwater pressure, because when you go underwater, so obviously pressure is a thing that you have to deal with anywhere, even if you go into space. But for the most part in space, because I was rewatching was The Core, movie about going to the center of Earth and saving Earth. But the difference between going into space and going underwater or underground is that space is, for all intents and purposes, is mostly empty. And like the pressure problem is like solved by like you just got to figure out how to like pressurize a suit and you're good. Whereas as you go underground, like the PSI, it's just like you are going to get annihilated, smashed into nothingness if you don't have correct pressure. And even at some depths, it doesn't matter. Like there's a certain depth you got to get crushed. So like I've always liked that concept. Like what is it going to take to keep going? Because you're exploring your own planet. So this part of it, it's like go like explore your own world before like space is very intriguing to me. But also figuring out your own planet. There's like a lot of things like that. And so the fact that they're even bringing up that concept of you've got to deal with pressure. The better suits you build, the further down you can go. I like that kind of progression. That's pretty cool, honestly.
There's a thing in Futurama, and I don't remember the first number, but it's the one where they've got a hook in a big fish that's tied to the ship with diamond filament cabling, and they're being pulled way underwater, and the professor's like, "Oh no, there's like the ship, there's like 1,000 atmospheres or whatever of pressure outside the ship," and Fry's like, "Well, how many can the ship withstand?" And the professor goes, "Well, it's a spaceship, so I'd say anywhere between 0 and 1. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah, the horrifying truth. But yeah, again, both that and its sequel coming to Switch early next year from Unknown Worlds Entertainment. We already covered Takeshi and Horoshi. That's already out. But next up was Raji, an ancient epic. This is also a shadow drop and a timed console exclusive to Switch, being developed by Notting Head Games, published by Super.com. We've definitely seen this before. It's an action-adventure game set in ancient India. A young girl named Raji has been chosen chosen by the gods to stand against the demonic invasion of the human realm. I got a lot of it's heavily combat-oriented, traversal mechanics, running up walls, running alongside walls, doing flips and doing using special abilities. It looked pretty cool. And the aesthetic, the world design was really very visually striking. The only thing I will say maybe want to address is even in the footage. Obviously, it's out, so maybe people can say whether or not it still has this issue. Some of the footage looked a little framey. Would be my only my immediate concern. But I know you, Blood, you had one other concern about like how it actually feels to do how it feels to play the game was like your biggest question mark about this.
Yeah, I think you just want it to be smooth. It was in the Xbox Summerfest demo
That's
event,
where it
so
was.
I missed that demo. I really wanted to dive into a lot of those demos. I didn't really get a chance, but yeah, curious how it plays. I don't know if the new eShop doesn't sound like there's a demo,
No,
but
it doesn't
yeah,
have on the page. It would say download demo. It just has add to wish list.
got it.
So it's available now. So,
But it's definitely, both in terms of gameplay and sort of the similar aesthetics. Has some Prince of Persia vibes, and I think that it's been a long time since we've gotten that, and it's been a long time since Assassin's Creed, felt anything like a Prince of Persia game.
that is
So hopefully, I think maybe the most recent significant game along those lines to me are like some of the Darksiders games, Darksiders 2 in particular. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it holds up.
yeah. Also, some of these screenshots remind me. What was that Tomb Raider or Temple of Cyrus, or was it the
That was like
Oh,
first one, I think.
Yeah, it looks a little bit
They
like
were-
that.
yeah.
In some of the shots because it's a very zoomed out perspective. But I mean the trade off is I feel like you get to appreciate the environments a little bit more because you see like the scale of them because you get like a wider angle, and I do appreciate that. I do really like that. And just like the snippets of gameplay we saw, at least the combat looks pretty good in terms of like you use like I'm gonna get the actual weapon names here. So you have the
Good
Trishul.
luck.
I think that was the three-pronged weapon, and then you have a Shranga bow. So like you have ranged weapons, you have melee weapons, and it looked like you also like could power them up with special abilities. Like one time, like looked like the spear weapon did like a lightning thing when you like ran up the wall and like flipped off of it and did like a down thrust, had like lightning coming out of it, which was really cool. Uh, Definitely into
I
that.
just remembered those. Remember there's like that trilogy of Assassin's Creed side-scrolling games,
Oh,
and I think one of
Yeah.
them might have even been set in India.
I think it was.
There was another one that was like in Russia or something, but all of them were like in some ways aesthetically feel similar to this, but all of them were like, even looking back at it now, like those were really cheap feeling games compared to even this.
Yeah.
Like they really just like focused in on that trilogy. So something, yeah, I think if you were looking at that and you're like, oh, I wish that had been better, then maybe Raji is the thing for you.
yeah. It's on sale right now. It's normally $24.99 on the eShop, but it's $22.49, so a little discount there. A little bit off there if you want to try it out. Again, there's not a demo for it, but also like the story art style they do. I apologize. I had the actual artwork was here we go. Every corner of the game's environment is drawn in the I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong. The Bahari,
Bahari sounds about
P-A-H-A-R-E.
right. Yeah.
R-I, sorry. Art style combines hand-painted textures and rendered in 3D. Like there's that mural scene when we're running
Yeah, the
across
mural
like
was
the mural.
cool.
That was really good. And then like the story cutscenes looked really good too. Yeah. So I'm curious if someone just says like, yeah, it doesn't have any performance issues, I think I might actually check this out at some point for sure. Moving along, we talked about Bear and Breakfast already. A Short Hike. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said this is a game that's already been out on PC for
a
a
while.
while, coming out to Switch. It is available. Might not be available yet. It's coming out today. It said later today. Timed console exclusive, and it's pretty cheap. So normally $7.99. It's only $7.19 right now. So for a little under $8, you could pick this up.
It won some awards or something too. I think like the IGDA or something. Let me see.
Came out July 30th, 2019.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm on their page right now. See if they have like mentioned their awards, but doesn't have anything on their landing page for the game.
Oh, they added the boat. They added the boat to the
Oh,
PC
yeah?
version with the Nintendo Switch launch. So that is new.
Gotcha. Oh, nice. There's a little bit of a content update for it as well to celebrate its Switch launch. That's pretty cool. You were saying, Blood. Were you thinking this, or were you told this, or found this? It looked like it was trying to make the feel of a PS1 era game.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the aesthetics they're going for. Yes. So Short Hike won the grand prize at the 2020 Independent Games Festival.
Nice. That's a pretty prestigious award there. Yeah.
So those are before the bigger. They do them back to back before the bigger GDC awards.
Gotcha. So it's a game about exploration. Again, like it's art style, PS1 era. Also, to me, I got like 3D DS game vibe as well, which is a very unique style at this point. Looking back, over 10 years ago when those games came out. Are you flying penguin? Flying what are you? I don't even know what you are.
Penguins can't fly.
I know they can't, but I thought that'd be
Damiani.
cool if it was like I'm the one penguin that can fly and I'm exploring the world. So yeah, you're a bird that can like. It looks like you glide. Not can you actually fly, or is it just glide?
You had little feather things that look like you expend them.
Oh, consumables. That's kind of like that game we saw during State of Play.
Pathless.
Yeah, it's like that's a.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like using currency anyway. Explore the island any way you like. Was my question about seeing this, because I think this is maybe the second time I'd seen this, is whether it's a linear like level based game, or if it's just a big world and you can try and go anywhere, and it's the big world where you can try and go anywhere, which is really cool.
Yeah. Says you can follow the marked paths or go wherever you want.
Yeah, they're really pushing the play at your own pace. They even say in the description, there's no need to rush. Take your time fishing along riverbanks or swimming by the lakeshore. They have collectible hidden treasures scattered about, so kind of like dangling those to encourage you to explore. And
I didn't realize IGFs actually come with money.
Oh, really? There's a cash prize?
Because that's what it looks like. Like the Seamus McNally grand prize, in parentheses, $10,000, and then the audience award, $2,000.
Wow. Way to go.
Yeah.
Decent chunk right there. That's pretty good. Well, I mean, I like this visual style. And this type of game suits me, and I heard everyone in chat when we were actually saying this is an extremely short game, apparently.
It's in the title.
Yeah.
A short hike. You're just trying to get up to the summit, apparently. This is something I will probably pick up and try. I feel bad that I had neglected this in the past, because I feel like I saw this at some point for Steam and I was just like, oh, I forgot about it. Now it's back. But yeah, it's I like it. I'm into this for sure. I don't know. Maybe you two aren't into it. I don't know.
It looks great.
I'm totally into it. Yeah.
I'm thrilled. I've been meaning to play it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah. It looks like this is being developed by one person, Adam Robinson Yu. And then with Poor Will.
Haven't had a short amount of time,
I get that. I fully understand it for sure. We already talked about Card Shark, and how awesome that looks. Card Shock. There'll probably be some Card Shock if you fail and get into a shootout and die. We keep saying shootout, but it's really just someone probably just shoots you.
Execution, dude.
Yeah, it's an
hardcore.
Well, there's that one grim scene where someone got on their knees and like from the rear gun at the rear of their head. I was like, ew, this might get brutal. Actually, gotta be maybe a warning message that maybe you shouldn't try this at home. We're nearing the end here. Torchlight 3 coming fall 2020 to Switch from Perfect World Entertainment. Is this a game?
What can you say?
Yeah, it's games.
Torchlight. You either like it or you don't at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to keep doing. Well, and the big thing they tease in: pets are back. your little companion.
Oh yeah, you
bring
get an
him out with you.
exclusive
And
Switch pet. Yeah.
Yeah, you get an exclusive like red fairy companion, I believe, to
Oh,
join you
yeah,
on
like
the,
real
your
mean looking too, wasn't
yeah.
it?
This is players up to 40 players, by the way.
Huh.
That's a lot of players.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have much else to say about it. Again, it's that perspective.
Yeah, this is the
And,
perfect storm of things you don't like, Damian.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's like I would play this on a group stream or stream team or a Mike and Mike for one session, but then not want to come back to it. Most likely, is unfortunately the reality for me. But to everyone else who loves it, yeah, I mean, glad they're continuing. Keep making them as long as they're doing well. We briefly mentioned Manifold Garden. This has already been out. This game, it's interesting because I feel like this game should completely speak to my interest. But there's one key thing that is making me weary about this, diving into this, is its first-person perspective.
Motion sickness?
Yeah, and then making me sick because of all the falling and loops. And it's like, oh, no.
You
I think the
do
only
a
thing that
lot
can
of
make
like
it worse for me is
changing.
Yeah.
You do a lot of
Gravity
changing which
switches and-
wall
yeah.
you're on too. I think you might spew if you tried to play this one.
Yeah, this is almost screaming. I wish the PC version had a third person mod so I could play it third person. But
I just think that the way you interact with it, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
I think it
It's
would.
all
Third
about-
person might even make it worse.
Yeah,
Right.
It'd have to you'd see everything just like.
Yeah,
very Escher-esque, playing on design and repetition and perspective, and
It's cool.
yeah,
do
it's very cool.
Sorry, have either of you actually played this or no?
Yes.
I played it like 4 years ago. I haven't played it
played,
recently. I
like-
haven't played it since it was finished.
Well, I mean, did you like how it actually played though? I mean,
it's
Yeah.
very
Okay.
intriguing. Yeah.
Yeah, I played it for like an hour or so, but it was super hot in here, and I get motion sick when it's hot, and I'm playing something like this, so I had to pause. Haven't gone back, but I really enjoyed it so far.
To best of your knowledge, is there a part with a Penrose stairs in this game?
Is that the eternal
Yeah,
up staircase?
the
Yeah,
optical
probably.
illusion. Like in 2D, you can make it endless, but in 3D, it can't be realized.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Potentially.
Although I've watched some videos about non-Euclidean spaces in video games, and how you
Mhm.
can make a building that looks like a cube from the outside. You can go inside it, and like the guy, he made it program it so like there's like 6 different rooms that take up like a fourth of the size of the building, and it's like seamless. And then you walk back out, and like corridors that are this long on the exterior, but when you walk through them, they're like really, really long. Stuff like that. It's very interesting stuff.
Oh,
So I wouldn't be surprised if this game got into stuff like that later. I don't know.
probably.
Superliminal probably deals with that kind of stuff too.
I was gonna ask.
Some of
I think
that-
it was-
That VR game I told you about for the GDC stuff, use some of those techniques. The one where you're always, you never use a controller to move around or teleportation. You just walk around the room.
Oh, right.
Very cool. We talked about Evergate a little bit already. That is also available right now. They went into a sizzle reel. The only thing that stood out for me was they showed damn it, what was it called again? The first game that's been shown everywhere, the twins.
Oh, Haven.
Haven.
Haven, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like, starts with H.
They're not-
Haven,
they're not
that was
twins, they're
definitely
like
Switch
lovers.
footage.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
not
sorry.
twins,
They're
dummy.
not
They're
twins. I'm
they're
sorry.
banging.
I mean, they.
I guess they
whatever.
could be twins. It'd be a whole
I mean,
different kind
we
of
don't
game.
know. But we don't. It doesn't need to be that. I meant
I hope
like
they're not
the two
twins.
characters, like the guy and the girl character. But the point I was trying to make, sorry, is if we were definitely seeing Switch footage there for most of
Yeah.
it. That was much rougher looking than we had seen in previous presentations. But I know props are actually showing what it legitimately looks like. I'm all for that. And some people might, and on a smaller screen, if you're playing portable mode, maybe it looks better than that. Maybe blown up like that, it's where it looks its worse. I don't know. Was there anything else in the sizzle reel? I had the list of games. Nothing really
I'm curious about Going Under. Let's
Yeah.
see what this is about.
Oh,
Team 17 and Aggro Crab Games.
yeah. This is
It's a roguelite as well.
Uh-oh, Damiani.
Everything in you just want to roguelike.
September 24th. Procedurally generated dystopian dungeons. Okay.
Is it
look
This
easier?
has a really interesting art style, though.
Is it
Yeah, it
easier
didn't
to
look like-
make roguelikes or something?
I don't know.
I think in some ways, since you don't have to, I mean,
Have
I
a
don't know. It's
story?
probably not. But there's that trade-off to where like you don't necessarily have as, you know, you're not like handcrafting the dungeons and level designs in the same way. But then you also have to like make it work, you know, if you're not doing that. So it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Going on a dangerous mission to rid Fizzle of the monstrous employees and former CEOs from the failed startups that came before. Fiasco must use anything that comes to hand, staplers, laptops, and even potted plants to complete her adventure.
Yeah, the premise for this is insane. It says failed businesses no longer just cease to exist. They sink beneath the earth, and their employees are cursed to wander the halls for eternity as monsters. It's your duty to put these monsters out of their misery and repossess their assets so that your boss can afford a new car or something. That's literally what it is.
It's like some kind of it's like we're America 2021.
Horrible bosses. Not all heroes get paychecks. Battle through the remains of failed startups themed off of gig workers, dating sites, and cryptocurrency. Make friends with your coworkers. Hire a freelance goblin. Date a slime. Invest in crypto. Set a rideshare on fire.
The dream.
Bizarre.
Yeah, I had like that pillow fight scene in one of like the bedrooms.
But it does
like,
now, you know, like now that I've read that and then going back through the, you know, whatever 20 seconds of footage, it's like, okay, this makes a little more sense now.
Oh my god. Get paid in experience. Oh no. But it's like you get experience points to level up abilities. So it's like here it actually works. It's like, oh no. Yeah, this looks pretty cool actually. I think aesthetic helps. Aesthetic and presentation can help a lot with me getting me into a game like this. This does a lot to mask what I'm really playing, and the gameplay. I don't know, that speaks to creativity and diversity. Sometimes maybe I'm seeing roguelites look a little too similar. Like all of them, most of them look too samey to me. So when I see something like this, it stands out. I'm like, hey, this is a little bit more intriguing. I'm willing to give this one a chance over something else. Aggro Crab Games is the developer. Not Crab. I was like, dang it, close. And as you said, Team 17, yeah, they're. I feel like them and Devolver are picking up a lot of good games in recent times.
Yeah, so they have the Red Lantern, which is the dog sledding game.
Yeah, which was first premiered by Nintendo on I believe, an indie showcase a year or so ago.
Unrailed is being published by Daedalic, also coming out late September. That's the one where you're like putting together trains and like trying.
Yeah, that was the one that looked kind of like it looked interesting to me. Also, the timed aspect. It looked like you have to keep making the tracks in front of it in time, otherwise the train might crash and you fail the stage. I'm guessing so. A little bit of that made me think of Blast Corps, because you got to guide like a nuclear thing to its destination and clear a path in time.
And then struggling with the really creepy art and the weird thing with arms that pop off and.
No, we're still here.
No,
sorry,
we just don't have anything to say.
That one, no, that game was just like not for me. I hate like it stems from first seeing was it Ren and Stimpy. And I was like, oh, this is so different and stuff. I'm like, this is gross. I mean, I appreciate people trying to push art styles, but man, I've never been into like grotesque art styles. I'm just not for me. Then having to play a whole game like that, it's just like, no, I'm out. I'm sorry.
In most, I know at points, Damiani, you were talking about not liking the backgrounds kind of blending in, but it does have this interesting like monochrome look to it.
Yeah, for what was it called?
Almost like a Game Boy game.
Sorry, what was it called?
In most.
In most, sorry, not in.
Yeah,
games.
that one's out this Friday, and everything it looks kind of bluish.
Yeah, it's got like a dark bluish tint, and in the other ones it has like a dark, like a matrix, has like a matrix filter over it in some of them, like the matrix green in some of them, and then like a lighter blue, and then there's even this like, I don't want to say like amber autumn kind of vibe on like this one exterior shot. I mean, a lot of these wider shots look amazing and in general, but it's like interior. It's always interior stuff. It's always interior shots of like labs or compounds that the foreground, background, they're just parts where when your character's walking through it, it just, for me, is hard to distinguish. I always jump on something and think it's that's the back. Damn it, that's the background. I can't jump on that. I was like, okay, my bad. I feel like some modern pixel art based games, for me, struggle to distinguish themselves in those types of environments. Like this, a lot of these shots remind me of I could say like these came out of a whole different number of recent games. I mean, heck, even this one shot looks like an environment from The Messenger, like an underground part from like The Messenger. Like they all use this, but at least The Messenger, I feel, was a little bit more unique in its backgrounds and foreground designs. I never had that problem in The Messenger, whereas something like this, or even I didn't play the more recent one, but the first Bloodstained, the Curse of the Moon, that one, there was a few parts where I had like that issue as well. And then there was a Panzer Paladin. I was watching footage. There were some parts of that as well. So I don't know what it is. I mean, I kind of wonder, like, is there like a shared asset for sprite work or a sprite tool that a lot of these developers are using? Because while their environments definitely look unique, the actual building blocks of it, I mean, obviously it's sprite work. The building blocks of a lot of the stuff some of the assets do look similar here and there. I don't know if there's I don't know, Ian, maybe if you know this better, if there's like a sprite tool that everyone's using.
Any number of tools, so I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. But I mean, Inmost does look really cool, though.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is there's 3 different characters that you play as, and like some of them look like really more contemporary, while the other guy has like armor on and a sword and a grappling hook, and like, okay, like it's really interesting.
They also say it's a short game. It's 3 to 5 hours, meant to be played.
That's that one. Yeah.
Potentially
play it in one night
for our best game to play in a night category if that comes back. Anything else you want to mention for the Sizzle Reel, or do you want to move on to the grand finale?
The grand finale.
I have a question about this grand finale, so-called.
Okay.
Sure.
Because they ended it with the Untitled Goose game getting a 2-player mode, which is awesome. I think that's great. But then, like, my girlfriend sent me a thing about it. I saw a bunch of people on Twitter talking about it. Polygon had an article about it, like this and that. And it was like, there were 6 shadow drops in this thing, and Untitled Goose Game is still the main, like, big story.
Right.
And I don't get it. Like, the game is cool. Really? We played it the one time, and it was fun, but it's like, then we were done with it. Like, it's a one and done thing to me. I don't understand its lasting power and why people are freaking out about Untitled Goose Game.
On a practical level, I understand where you're coming from, Ian. On a practical level, I understand that. I feel like Untitled Goose Game transcended that and became more of a cultural thing, especially in the video game sphere. So this game was all over the place being talked about. Everyone was, you were participating in it even if you weren't playing it, because you loved making like meme images of like, what is the goose going to be honking at this time in this image. So now that there's 2 of them, this just amplifies it again. It's boosting it again. And it's going to, because it got so big, and I think in the social and on social media platforms, I feel like that's why this is such a big deal and why it's being so talked about, because hey, we get to go back to this again, but now we got two we can do. So think of the things we're going to do with this, and a game that's
kind of
meant
like what Omar said when I was bitching about this to him earlier. Is like, he was like, it's a big story now because it was a big story before. Like, that's all it is. And I was like, yeah.
I will give you, Ian, I don't know how long. I don't think the effect is going to be as profound as before. I think this will be more short-lived for sure.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think Untitled Goose Game is great. Like, it's a cool game, but yeah, I just don't understand why everyone was so gaga for it.
I'm guessing that it will probably be local co-op only. I don't.
It is,
know that for sure.
That
yeah,
is,
but
that is
makes sense.
confirmed.
Do they have to change the title of this game? Does it now have to be
but I wonder if the
Untitled Geese Game?
I wonder if they get the multiplayer.
I hope the mode is
name.
called Untitled Geese Game.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be really funny. It's a charming title. It's a charming game.
Coming to Steam and Itch on September 23rd with a new 2-player mode. Oh. But yeah, everything about this game, like the cheeky nature, even the comedy they do when writing up stuff, like featuring a horrible goose. That's you. Town full of people just trying to get on with their day. You hate them. A dedicated honk button. Ha ha ha. It's like they're just having so much fun with this game.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
I'm not
a
trying
fun,
to,
jolly
I'm not
game.
Anti-Goose Game.
Yeah.
I am pro Goose Game.
I do think its
its
practical appeal, Ian, will largely depend on as it looks like it's almost all the same areas from the game. They're not making new areas. If they reimagine the task to support and take full use of the co-op play. If they don't, it's just the same stuff. Maybe it's still fun, but I would imagine the appeal of that goes down a little bit compared to if they put a little bit more work into it.
I wonder to what extent, like how far you can get away from each other. Like, will the camera zoom out to a certain degree, or are you pretty much tethered to each other?
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do like the split screen thing. You know, those like Harry Potter Lego games where they do the dynamic thing. Yeah, they might do that, or they might just force you to stay. It only zooms out so far, and it's like, nope, that's it. That's as far as you can go. Stop. That's the boundary. Yeah, we can find out when it's at, because it's a free update to the existing game if you already have it. On Switch, it is $19.99, so $20. But yeah, that was your Indie World Showcase. I do like how they've also kept the tradition of, no matter even if it's not the biggest thing in the world, they do seem to always end these on, there's one last fun thing, and they kind of like have a little bit of fun most of the time with it. I mean, even something, I don't want to just not dismissive of it, but I think Axiom Verge 2 was the most out of nowhere. Like, oh, this is I mean, it's a new announcement. Could have fit anywhere in the show, but they've also done things like Cadence of Hyrule was announced in one of these. Like, whoa, they've gone from something as big as that to, I think this wasn't even a new game reveal. It's just like, here's a new mode in a game. And I think they've chosen pretty wisely when it comes to that. And again, going back to your earliest point, Ian, help set expectations that it's a fun presentation. It's generally very enjoyable through and through, and you get like a little nice surprise at the end. It's not a megaton, but it is something. It's like, oh, that's a nice thing to finish off with. A good closer, basically. But yeah.
Yeah, I think to me, kind of going back to what we were talking about with that stuff in the beginning, there's a good number of games here. Like there were, like 12 or 13, like quote unquote main features, and then the montage and the Goose Game announcement. Whereas, I think the thing that's been frustrating about a lot of the Nintendo directs and Pokemon directs and stuff over the past couple months in the summer is, you'll go through the trouble of getting up to watch them and all that, and then it's like, okay, well, here's 2 or 3 things, and like, oh, okay. Like, I don't feel like this was necessarily worth the time of doing something separate when you could bundle it all together. Whereas this, I feel like, this is nice. This was worthwhile. This was cool.
Very good point. Yeah, it made no sense why they split the Pokemon. I mean, we could probably answer why Pokemon Company did it, but from everyone else's perspective in the world, it was like, why didn't you put that MOBA announcement in with the rest of the stuff instead of giving it a dedicated second thing? Because again, it set expectations, out of whack for a lot of people. Even the Paper Mario Treehouse
Yeah,
Live.
didn't Paper Mario have something else attached to it that were like,
Yes, I
well,
was. I had an announcement, but even just
Yeah.
the format of it, I understand they were trying to give some semblance of like, hey, we didn't have E3, we know we do this. I almost felt that would have been better as this being an edited video. Just have like
Right.
the narration over it, and maybe you could cut to a person on camera every now and then. But it actually being live, I don't know if they'll ever do that again because of the technical difficulties they came across. They might just say screw it, just do it as a produced video. But the expectations again, they said there'd be a third party announcement of Way Forward would be developing a third party IP new game
And
announcement.
everyone went crazy
Because
with
originally they
ideas.
didn't specify as third party. Originally they just said Way Forward's announcing a
Yeah.
new game, and so everyone started jumping to all these like rumors about a certain game
Metroid
or
and
Wario game, and then all of a sudden they're
Yeah.
like, wait, no, it's a third party game. So then everyone goes Castlevania, and then it's
Yeah.
no, it's none of these. It's the worst. Your worst reality has come to pass here. Then they had
Bakuga.
again. Oh
and then
my!
the only reason that anyone can surmise to why anyone bothered is because Reggie is involved in Bakugan.
That was
now.
like the last promised thing, the last business deal arrangement. Reggie Fils-Aimé, former president of Nintendo and CEO of Nintendo of America. That was their last deal, and it was just like a contractual obligation that it needed to be fulfilled, and they got that kind of was, I think, the low point. At least with the Smash
Right.
Brothers reveal, they early on set out the expectations that it's an ARMS character, and so it's first party. Stop with the wild speculation. But that was a lesson learned from like the Byleth reveal, which is a whole other thing. But I feel as the summer's gone on, like it got lower and lower. Nintendo was going backwards. It felt like, starting with the Smash presentation to Pokemon to the Paper Mario Treehouse Live presentation. That's why I feel so good about this Indie World Showcase, because
Rescued
and I
by
was saying they
indies
got back
once
to
again.
normal. What's up?
Rescued by indies once again.
Yeah, of course. Indies coming to the rescue, and they have a long history of bailing Nintendo out. Wii U.
Well, I feel like it's true on everyone's front.
Especially now.
PlayStation and Xbox have got Bug Snacks. Here it comes.
Tune in to the Easy Ollies
Bug
podcast this
Snacks.
week, where I guarantee they're going to be talking about what the heck is coming out for launch on the next gen consoles now, with was the most recent one, Overlooped, being delayed. It's like every
Deathloop?
Deathloop. Sorry,
But that was
Deathloop.
delayed?
Yeah, that's not coming out this year. Q2 next year now, delayed. All the games that you thought were going to be potentially launch window games are just not happening for those systems, and it's indie games. These indie games are be carrying it, and yeah, I mean, that might be a discussion topic for a future episode of Friend Code, but it's actually looking better and better for Nintendo now. It's like maybe these having all these big indie games is going to be enough to carry the Switch, because those don't really justify getting a next-gen console at this point. So, maybe we'll have that discussion at some point. So, yeah, as you said, Blood, Indies coming to save the day again for Nintendo. But on that topic, before we wrap up here, I do want to say we are very cognizant, at least I am very cognizant of the rumor mill. This Indie Direct was foretold this past Sunday. The Twitter sphere was all a flurry with saying there would be an Indie World Showcase this Tuesday. That came to pass. Those same people were also saying next Thursday, August 27th, Friday in Japan, August 28th, but August 27th our time, which probably means a 6 a.m. thing or whatever. I don't know. We'll find out. There will be apparently a proper Nintendo Direct finally. We're not taking it as fact. We'll wait and play it by ear, but who knows?
Same day as the Gamescom?
27th
maybe.
is Gamescom.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's the same day, but
that lines up.
So there might be, for everyone wondering what else besides Pikmin 3 Deluxe Edition Nintendo has coming out this year and a bunch of great indie games, you might have that question answered next week. So we're aware of it. Maybe it comes, but again, as always, don't fall into the trap of assuming this is fact and it's happening. And even if something is happening, it could be something like another third-party showcase, like a developer update, like they did a partner update that they did with the Atlas stuff, where we got SMT5 was the update, was the big, and a release window was the big finale.
Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah, please just put them together, Nintendo.
And do them later.
Like once a month is fine. Even if it's like, even if it's early, once a month, we got it.
Yeah, I feel like of all the companies, Nintendo has been the most scattershot with their approach. Not having E3 or even like a virtual substitute for it, I feel has kind of I don't know. It'd be very interesting to know the inner workings of why they've decided to do this, especially when you see other companies have been able to put up similar style shows that are more like a accumulation of like a bunch of game announcements rather than spreading them out so far. But anyway, we'll see. I'm ready for Direct. It's been almost a year. September of last year was the last official proper Nintendo Direct, like full blown Nintendo Direct.
Wait, what?
So we got Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition announced. Yeah, the September 2019 was the last full blown Nintendo Direct, not like an Indie World Showcase, not a mini Direct, proper Nintendo Direct. It's gonna be almost a year, and there is, as well as Switch is doing, as well as Nintendo's doing, there's some growing calls for what do you got, like what's coming up in the future. Everyone else is talking about the future, but I think people are getting a little bit antsy, and it's a little bit understandable. I mean, it's to be expected. So hopefully this is true. If it's true, that will be what we'll be talking about in the next episode, Frank Good. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you, both of you, for joining me, especially this morning, early morning, for these reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Before we sign off here, we have some shout-outs for the month of August 2020. This is our $250 patron tier, where you get to get a shout out on all of our podcasts. And we have some slots open.
5 slots.
We expanded to 10 slots. So we got 5 of those slots open because these have generally been all filled up. So wanted to give more of an opportunity to people to jump in on this. So for the month of August, our shout outs are Althanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Caleb Togi Crawford, JL Burden LLC, Jeff Zio VGM Easton, and Delissi. Shout out. And thank you very much.
Shout out.
I actually, feel free to do that. I actually don't do the cadence thing. I just give them a personal, I give them the shout out that they want.
I was just saying it also.
Oh, it's a great thing. I love, panel participation in this. It's very exciting, especially when it's like your own desire to do it and you're not like called on to do it on command.
I just spilled pencils all over the place and activated my glasses.
I was going to say, is that why your effects filter came up? Was that
I
a
dropped
Paper
a bunch
Mario,
of
the Origami
pencils.
King reference?
Blackwing 602s all over it.
All right.
The heat and the combination of getting up early, I am suddenly very tired.
Oof. I understand. I completely hear you there. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you, both of you, for joining. You might have noticed there were no patron questions for this episode. I think that's more my fault. I want to explain that. I made an update. Originally, I made a post calling for your questions. We got a bunch of questions for friend code, just not related to the Indie World Direct because we had to make a last-minute audible because of the short lead time for this. I made a post updating about that, but I didn't technically say submit your new questions here. For whatever reason, I thought that was self-explanatory, but my bad. We even had someone go, hey, we're supposed to submit questions here. You're making a new post. These already go pretty long, so we don't generally get into too many patron questions in these recap episodes covering the directs, essentially. But I do apologize if you did have a burning question and you didn't know you were able to submit it. Because generally, if you're a $5 and up patron, you can submit questions for consideration for episodes of Friend Code. I'll make that post the week of a recording. Everyone who submitted a question for the previous topic, that topic will still be happening in some form. Largely, when that episode will happen depends on whether or not there's a direct next week because it might impact the information about those topics. So we just need to wait and see. But eventually, when we do this episode, we will work in those questions that are still relevant. So I will be keeping track of that. Also, if you're a $5 and up patron, you're part of our early access tier. which means you get episodes of various of our shows and podcasts a little bit earlier before they hit YouTube for the general public. So thank you for everyone who supports us for or watching this or listening to us for early access tier. For everyone else who catches it when it goes up publicly, thank you for supporting your show, supporting this show, in that way by just checking it out, watching it, leaving a comment. So thank you very much.
If you're listening to this podcast, you need to come back and watch the end of this with Ian Hink.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's hot as balls in here, Bloodworth. Cut me a break. It's so hot, and I'm so tired.
They don't know what they're missing.
Yeah.
They just don't know.
I spent 10 minutes of this trying to line up a fan to hit my legs, and even though it was like right next to my legs, I couldn't feel the fan.
Isn't that the worst with fans? Like they have to be like the right distance and like
Feel the air.
very perfect angle, or like they don't fully hit you.
Oh yeah, I've got 106 at my place.
Yeah, it's insane, man. Toasty.
All right, that's gonna do it for this episode of Friend Code, everyone. So until next time, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce. Bye-bye.